Before I tell you which one passed, I need to tell you what the test actually was, because most people don't know what a real guard dog evaluation looks like. And that's exactly why so many families end up with the wrong dog, the wrong bite incident, and a lawsuit they never saw coming. The criteria I used come from working dog certification standards, specifically the IPO framework, which is the International Foundation for Police and Military K9 Assessment, and the temperament evaluation protocols used by European selection programs that have been running for decades. 6 criteria. Every dog gets rated on all 6. No partial credit. Environmental soundness. Does the dog stay functional under sudden, unpredictable stimuli? Loud noise, unfamiliar surfaces, crowds, traffic. Civil aggressiveness. Does it respond to an actual human threat, not just a toy or sleeve? This one eliminates most breeds immediately. Handler bonding. Does it work specifically for one person, or is it generically social with anyone? Pain tolerance and hardness. Off switch. Can it decompress between working states without falling apart? And actual deterrence. Does the dog's presence alone change how a threat behaves before any physical contact happens? 10 breeds. I'll tell you right now, 9 of them failed. The one that passed is going to surprise you. Don't skip ahead. German Shepherd. The most popular working dog in recorded history. Also, the most overbred, most compromised, most misrepresented working dog in recorded history. Here's what the content-pushing German Shepherds won't show you. The FCI and Schutzhund Germany have both published internal assessments documenting a significant decline in working ability across modern German Shepherd lines. The reason is a split that happened 50 years ago and never healed. Show lines and working lines have been breeding separately since the 1970s. Show line German Shepherds are selected for structure, movement, and coat. Working lines, drawn primarily from West German, Czech, and DDR East German stock, are selected for drive, nerve, and temperament. The AKC registers roughly 70,000 German Shepherds annually in the US. The overwhelming majority are show line or pet line animals with no working selection pressure behind them whatsoever. In IPO trial competition, the sport that directly measures working ability, German Shepherd entries have dropped nearly 40% over 2 decades, while Malinois and Dutch Shepherd numbers have climbed. That's working dog professionals telling you something with their registration choices. The German Shepherds I evaluated showed strong prey drive, sleeve engagement, toy motivation, chase behavior. What they didn't show was civil drive. Civil aggressiveness means the dog responds to the person as a threat, independent of any equipment or toy. A real intruder doesn't carry a bite sleeve. When the sleeve came off, the engagement dropped. That's a fail on the criterion that matters most. Rottweiler. The Rottweiler has a documented working history, genuine size, real territorial instinct, and a bite severity profile that commands respect. On paper, it should pass. The off switch is the problem. A working Rottweiler that cannot decompress between active states develops chronic stress. Chronic stress in a 120-pound dog with high pain tolerance and a slow escalation threshold, meaning it often bites without the usual warning sequence, creates a liability that compounds over time. The American Veterinary Medical Association's bite severity data, which weights incidents by injury depth rather than just incident count, consistently places Rottweilers among the top breeds. These aren't failures of bad ownership. They're failures of a temperament that runs too hot for too long without adequate discharge. The handler bonding issue is real too. Rottweilers are territorial toward property more than loyal to a specific person. The dog defends the yard, not the handler. In a protection context, those are fundamentally different things. Failed on off-switch and handler specificity. Doberman. Before we even get to working ability, the cardiac problem. Dilated cardiomyopathy affects an estimated 40 to 50% of Dobermans according to multiple studies published in the Journal of Veterinary Internal Medicine. Some European research puts the figure higher. The disease presents with no symptoms until the dog collapses. Sudden cardiac death in Dobermans under 7 years old, dogs that appeared completely healthy, is documented and not rare in veterinary cardiology literature. Building a working protection dog requires 18 to 24 months of structured development. Investing that time, that money, and that relationship on a breed where sudden cardiac failure at year 4 is a realistic probability is not a calculation that works. The risk isn't theoretical, it's statistical. Beyond the cardiac issue, the temperament of modern American Doberman lines has been softened significantly from the 1970s standard. The breed's sharp, hard-nerved working character was deliberately selected away from during the dangerous dog PR era of the 1980s. What most U.S. breeders produce now is a dog with good looks focus and moderate drives. Not useless, not a pass. Belgian Malinois. The Malinois is what happens when a working dog becomes a trend. Civilian Malinois ownership increased by over 300% in the last decade. Military working dog footage went viral. Film appearances amplified the demand. People see drive, focus, and physicality, and they want it. What they don't understand is what they're actually buying. The Malinois was bred for one specific operational context: continuous high-stress work, 8 to 10 hours daily, with a professional handler inside a fully structured environment. That's not a lifestyle, that's a job description. The breed's drive-to-off switch ratio is the highest of any working breed currently in production. A German Shepherd can decompress. A Dutch Shepherd has a moderate downtime setting. A Malinois doesn't. The engagement switch is perpetually half on. In a civilian home, which means no structured work, no professional handler, no outlet for that drive, the energy redirects into destructive behavior first, then anxiety-driven aggression, then incidents that don't make the news unless someone gets seriously hurt. Dr. Karen Overall, a veterinary behaviorist at the University of Pennsylvania with peer-reviewed publications on canine cognition and behavior, has stated on record that the Malinois is the single most mismatched breed for average civilian ownership currently being sold at scale. Her concern isn't that they're vicious, it's structural incompatibility. Failed on off switch, failed on civilian environmental soundness. The drive score was the highest of any breed tested. That's exactly the problem. Cane Corso. The cane Corso nearly went extinct in the 1970s. A small group of Italian breeders brought it back through careful reconstruction during the 1980s and 1990s. The Italian breed club, the Società Amatori Cane Corso, maintained strict temperament standards throughout that process. The dogs that came out of those lines were confident, stable, genuinely hard animals, difficult but manageable. Then the breed exploded in North America. KC registrations went from around 1,600 in 2010 to over 14,000 by 2020. That demand was met by breeders with no connection to Italian reconstruction lines, no temperament testing, no selection criteria beyond size and color. The result is a market where genetic temperament variance in Cane Corsos is now among the widest of any large breed sold in the U.S. A poorly bred Cane Corso is not a difficult dog. It's a 110-pound animal with unpredictable fear responses, structural instability, and no reliable ceiling on escalation. You can't evaluate the breed. You can only evaluate the specific dog in front of you, and you largely can't know what you're getting at 8 weeks old without documented pedigrees going 3 generations back. Failed on predictability. Not the breed's fault, the market's fault. The outcome is the same. Bullmastiff. The Bullmastiff was purpose-built for one function: tracking and pinning poachers on English gamekeeping estates without biting. Hold, not harm. That instinct is still present in well-bred lines, and it has genuine utility in specific scenarios. The physical problem eliminates it from real evaluation consideration. At 120 to 130 pounds with a brachycephalic, shortened skull, facial structure, the Bullmastiff's thermoregulation under physical exertion is compromised. Flat-faced dogs elevate core body temperature faster during sustained activity than muzzle-normal breeds. This is documented in veterinary exercise physiology research. A guard dog that can't sustain working activity in warm weather is not a functional guard dog. Half the year it's a liability rather than an asset. Failed on sustained physical capability. Caucasian ovcharka. This needs to be stated directly. The Caucasian ovcharka is not a guard dog. It's a livestock guardian that was repurposed as a perimeter protection animal in Eastern Europe and Russia. That distinction matters because its aggression pattern is not civil. It doesn't respond to human threat cues the way a protection breed does. It responds territorially and predatorily, and it does not reliably distinguish between actual threats and neutral stimuli once activated. The Georgian National Cynological Federation and equivalent bodies in Russia and Azerbaijan are explicit in their breed documentation. The Caucasian ovcharka requires isolation from general public contact to remain stable. The Soviet military used them along the Berlin Wall perimeter and in prison camp applications, both contexts where the dog had zero interaction with non-threatening humans ever. That's the operational environment this dog was built for. Place it in a civilian protection role with regular human contact, guests, delivery personnel, children, and you have an animal that's genuinely dangerous to manage with no behavioral solution that works reliably. Failed on handler bonding, environmental soundness, and discrimination. Giant Schnauzer. Now we're somewhere different. The giant Schnauzer has been operationally deployed deployed by the Czech Army, the German Federal Police, and multiple NATO member state law enforcement agencies continuously since the 1970s, not historically. Right now, the Czech Republic actively trains and fields giant schnauzers alongside Malinois and Dutch Shepherds in working K9 roles. That's a decades-long operational record in actual military and police applications, and almost nobody in civilian dog circles talks about it because the breed has no cultural moment, no viral video, no franchise association. On civil aggressiveness, the giant schnauzer is one of the few breeds showing genuine defensive drive alongside prey drive. It engages with the person as a threat, not just the equipment. That's the criterion that eliminated 7 of the 10 breeds before this point. On handler bonding, it's among the tightest of any working breed, what handlers consistently describe as a one-person dog that becomes functionally unreliable with anyone else, which, in a protection context, is precisely correct. On environmental soundness, it adapts well to urban environments, variable surfaces, noise, crowds. The off switch is real. Between working states, the dog is manageable, not low maintenance. 2 hours of structured daily activity is the floor, but manageable by a committed owner. Pain tolerance and hardness, documented through IPO trial performance across multiple generations, the breed scores consistently. 6 criteria. The giant schnauzer passed all 6. Dutch Shepherd. The Dutch Shepherd is, in pure evaluation terms, the closest competitor to the giant schnauzer across all 6 criteria. It passed 5 of them cleanly. The reason it's not the answer is civilian availability. Fewer than 3,000 Dutch Shepherds are registered annually in North America. Accessing working bloodlines without direct connections to Dutch or Belgian breeding programs is nearly impossible for most buyers, and bloodline access isn't optional. A Dutch Shepherd from working lines and a Dutch Shepherd from a pet breeder are almost different breeds in terms of temperament and drive structure. Without the lineage, the evaluation results don't transfer. The giant schnauzer has broader availability from working Czech and German lines, wider geographic access to quality breeders, and the same evaluation performance. The one that passed. Giant schnauzer, specifically sourced from working Czech or German lines with documented IPO titles at minimum 2 generations back. Not the dog anyone predicted. That's the entire point. The breeds that dominate guard dog content dominate it because they sell. They have the cultural footprint, the cinematic association, the search volume. The dog that actually performs across all 6 evaluation criteria in a real civilian context, with a documented multi-decade working deployment record in active military and law enforcement use, is a breed most people cannot identify in a photograph. The gap between the guard dog you've been sold and the guard dog you actually need is wider than most people want to believe. That gap is where most of the incidents happen.